So we're going to get into our hamstrings and things a lot today. So if you don't usually have a blanket or a towel for your practice, now would be a great time to grab one. Just helps to elevate the hips a bit. If you have shorter hamstrings, I won't call them tighter hamstrings, we call them shorter hamstrings. So sometimes that hip elevation helps things be more accessible. So as always, take things at your own pace, modify as needed, and listen to your own body and your own hamstrings. So let's just get started today in our Sukhasana, our easy seat, our just cross-legged seat. And just allow the hands to rest on the lap, palms down for a sense of grounding, or palms up for a sense of receiving. Let's take just a nice cleansing breath together, inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And allow the eyes to gently close. If you find any resistance behind the eyelids, fluttering, or anything of that nature, just take another round of breath and see if you can soften into that sensation. And let's just get started with a brief scan of our physical body. Starting at the top of the head, turning the gaze inward, and just checking in, scanning down, noticing how you feel in your physical body today. Noticing any tension, any feelings of restriction, or maybe perhaps feelings of openness. Turning the attention to the breath. Just notice where the breath is in the body at this moment. And see if you can begin to lengthen and deepen the inhales, allowing the belly to expand, ribs to expand, chest to expand. And as you exhale, releasing the chest, ribs, and belly. And stay with our 3-part Dirga breath for a few rounds, moving at your own pace. And noticing the sensation of the breath in the body as it moves through each layer. Thoughts try to creep in as they will. Just take note and let it go by. And bring your attention back to your breath. Slowly allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. And allowing the mind to do whatever it is it would like to do for a moment. And pausing here, just notice how you feel. the eyes still closed. Just change the cross of the legs, so whichever shin was behind, just bring that in front. And settle back into your cross-legged seat. Allowing the hands to drift down by the sides, just let the fingertips touch the mat. And as you inhale, drawing the belly in, elongating through the spine, drawing the shoulders back in space slightly, chin back in space slightly. Finding length through the spine. Bringing the attention to that line of energy from the tail all the way up through the crown of the head. Finding length, finding openness. And as the upper body grows taller, perhaps the fingertips begin to press down into the mat. Just ever so slightly. And on the next out breath, letting everything soften a little bit. And you can allow the eyes to drift open, to take in the light, the space around you, sounds. So from here, if you aren't seated up on your blanket and you want to use one, just get that under your hips. We're going to have the legs extended out long, but to start you can just have a little bend in them. Just reach back with the hand and just move the fleshy part, the glute back, so that you're kind of coming forward on the blanket and allowing the pelvis to tilt. And you're sitting up nice and tall. So when you find that kind of natural space, you can extend each leg out long. Now, again, if you have shorter hamstrings, you probably want a bend in the knee here, as generous as you wish. It's your body, it's your practice. So again, allowing the fingertips to rest on the mat, sitting up nice and tall. So the legs are active here. The toes are dialing back towards the face. We're rooting down through the sitting bones, yet lifting up, finding length in the spine, all the way through the crown. Belly draws in, nice and strong here. And then inhaling, lifting the arms up towards the ceiling, straight overhead. Finding our Dandasana, our staff pose. And as you arrive here, just check in. You want those toes dialing back towards the face. You can experiment with finding some length in the back of the legs here. Maybe you find that that bend in your knee doesn't need to be quite as generous. Just feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. And adjust as you need. On the next out breath, we'll begin to hinge forward at the hips. Arms extending long, reaching for the feet. You might find that bend in your knees is coming back depending on your hamstrings. That's fine. So we're here about halfway down. You just want to make sure you're not feeling any compression in your lower back, right? So the stretch is for the back of the legs. There will be some stretching sensation in the back, but there should be no pain or compression. And if you feel anything, bend the knees. So we probably hung out here in the middle long enough. And you can begin to reach for the toes or the outer edges of the feet. With each exhale, and you release a little bit more into this stretch. If it feels good, the head can bow. And after a few rounds of breath, perhaps you can experiment with straightening into the legs any amount. And if you're somebody with wonderfully long hamstrings, if this isn't even enough for you, you could grab a block and have the block behind your feet and reach all the way around the block to find a deeper opening. Three more rounds of breath here. Can you begin to cultivate Ujjayi breath or ocean sounding breath? Mindful that the toes continue to dial back towards the face. And then releasing the feet or the block, wherever you are. Extending the arms out long. And reverse hinging back up into your Dandasana. And perhaps you're noticing that there's less of a bend in the knees here, that stretch in the back of the legs has helped open things up. And exhale, allowing the fingertips to come rest on the mat. So from here, we're going to bend into the right knee. Might need to readjust your seat on the blanket. And then we're going to pick that foot up and cross it over the left leg. So your ankle is about mid-thigh, maybe a little bit closer to the knee depending on your composition here. And the foot is flat on the mat. Again, bringing the left toes, dialing those back towards the face. So you can just have your hands wrapped around the knee on the right leg. And inhale, sitting up nice and tall. Length through the spine, through the crown. And then we're going to begin to twist towards the right leg. So from the midsection, finding a twist on the exhale. Head to the left to come. Now from here, to get kind of a deeper action into the twist, you can wrap that left arm around the right leg. You can press the fingertip from the right hand down into the mat to help find length in the spine and help provide some leverage in the twist here. With each exhale, twisting a little bit deeper, but noticing, making sure you're pressing down through that right foot, the right toe. You want to make sure that's connected to the mat. The left toes are still dialing back towards the body. And releasing back through center. I'm going to bring that right leg back untwisted and extend down the mat. And then bending into the left knee and crossing it over the right leg. Again, you need to readjust to get that left foot flat on the mat. And the hands around the shins, sitting up nice and tall. Just noticing that the toes on the right foot are dialing back towards the face and not kind of kitty cornering off anywhere. And then wrapping that right arm around the left leg. That left hand comes back to tent. Fingers on the mat behind you to find length in the spine as you twist towards the left leg. With each exhale, can you twist a little bit deeper? Again, staying mindful of what's happening in the right foot as those toes dial back, And then the left foot, making sure you're pressing down into that big toe and toe ball mound to keep the foot flat on the mat. And then slowly releasing back through center, uncrossing the left leg and allowing it to extend out long. And just have the hands on the mat and just give a little shake out to the legs. Welcome hamstrings, good times. And from here, we're gonna make our way to our tabletop position. So you can get rid of the blanket or towel and just make your way to our tabletop position. And we'll start to move through some cat-cow. So as you arrive, inhale, belly drops, tail reaches up towards the ceiling, gazing up, opening through the chest. Exhale, pressing the earth away, belly draws in, chin tucks, finding our cat pose. Inhale up to cow. Exhale, finding our cat. And just keep moving through a few rounds at your own pace, linking your breath to your movement. Just closing your eyes, just feeling your body and your breath moving together. You can add in any movements as always. Holding one or the other longer. Just make this intuitive, listening to your body. Maybe finding some C curves in the spine. And then coming back through center. And begin to walk the fingertips back towards the knees. And just come to a low kneeling position. This is always fun. This is not one of my personal favorite things to do, but it's always good to work through a challenge. We're going to move into our yogi toe stretch. So again, coming forward a little bit into tabletop, you just want to get the toes tucked under. So we're going to come back up into a kneeling position, but our toes will be tucked under. So we're going to stretch out our toes and the backs of our feet. So when you've got that set up, you walk the hands back and come up into your kneeling position. And we're just going to close our eyes and be here for a couple of rounds of breath. Now for me, this always brings up a lot of sensation, a lot of resistance, a lot of my ego saying, get me the heck out of here. Maybe it doesn't do that for you, maybe it does. Can you just close your eyes and see if you can soften into this stretch. If you need a break, you can come up off and just untuck the toes and give them a little pitter patter out and then come back in. May help to concentrate just on the breath and the way the breath feels on the body versus the way the toes feel right now. And you can release coming forward into your tabletop. And just slap the tops of the feet down on the mat. And bring the big toes together, knees open wide, sending the hips back, and find your child's pose. Stay active through the arms here. And use the hands to help press the hips back, closer towards the heels, allowing the heart center to melt down closer to the earth. Third eye connects to the mat. rising back up, coming to your tabletop. I'm going to keep the knees here about hip width distance apart. And we're going to walk the hands back again. We won't tuck the toes this time. Well, we will, but we won't do the toe stretch. So just come up into a high kneeling position here. You can have the toes just flat on the mat for now. But bring the hands towards the back here. So almost like you were putting your hands, like if we still wore jeans, your hands would be going into the back jean pockets. So finding some opening through the front body here. Drawing the shoulder blades together, drawing the elbows closer together. And we're going to start to, we want the sensation of really lifting up from the lower lumbar spine and the thoracic spine. We want a sense of length here, not compression. So see if you can make that adjustment here in your own body. You can use your breath to help lift. And you can kind of just release here. And the next round we'll take it a little bit further. So if you need to give your hands a break and give them a little shake out, and just bring them back to your imaginary jean pockets. And you can also experiment with having the toes tucked here, just it's personal preference. So inhaling, finding that sensation of lifting through the lumbar spine and the thoracic spine. And then beginning to find a slight back bend. But this back bend is coming from the cervical spine, the upper part of the spine. And if this feels good, you're welcome to begin to drop the head back and open through the throat chakra and the heart center. This can be a lot, so listen to your body. Feel the sensation. And then slowly coming back up, head is last. You can release the hands down by the sides. And this time we are going to tuck the toes under. So using that sensation, I'm going to inhale the arms up overhead. And gaze up towards the hands, finding length through the side body. As we exhale, we're going to bring the right hand back towards the right heel. And you can just have the fingertips there, nice and long. Inhaling back up and exhaling to the left. So you can listen to what feels good here. You still want this sensation of lifting before the sensation of opening. And back up through center, finding the right. And back up and finding the left. One more in our half camel variation flow, finding the right. And experiment where the gaze is, up through center and finding the left. And back up through center. And bring the hands down and press back into your child's pose. It's a nice counter stretch for the back. If that opening through the throat chakra and heart center brought any feelings of anything up for you, just notice how you feel. And then from your child's pose, we're going to make our way down to the mat onto our bellies. So just find your way down. Hands for right now can just be at about mid-chest. And then using the tops of your toes, finding length through the front of the legs. So you'll notice as you do that, you're just allowing the front of the hip to get closer to the mat. Bring your forehead down here. Just take a couple of breaths here and allow the front body to release down into the mat. And then gently, we're going to start to bring the forearms at about shoulder width apart in front of us. We're coming into our Sphinx pose. So depending on how your lower back feels, if being up on your forearms creates any compression in the lower back, you can bring them out forward in front of the shoulder versus having it directly under the shoulder. So you can just feel around with both and see what feels better. Now for me, I personally need a couple of inches in front of my shoulders to help release any kind of sensation in my lower back. So just note that your feet are about hip width distance apart. I'm going to be pressing actively down into the tops of the toes all the way out to the pinky toe. Really pressing down into the palms. Shoulder blades are drawing away from the ears, gazing up. We're really like the Sphinx in Egypt here. And from here, I'm going to take the left forearm and just kickstand it in a little bit, about 45 degrees. And then using the hamstring strength from the right leg, and begin to bend into the right leg. Now pausing here, I want to readjust so those the front of both hips are still really connected to the mat. And you can draw that foot closer. You also have the option to reach back with the right hand and find the foot to find a nice quad stretch here. But you don't want to come all the way up, right? You want to keep both of those hip flexors down towards the mat. You get a little funky with your arm and your shoulder girdle, but and your elbow, but you really want this sensation to be in the front of the quad. And then slowly releasing that back down. I'm going to bring both forearms down to the mat, finding our alligator pose here, our crocodile. And just wiggle the hips out, release anything from the right side. And then pressing back up, finding Sphinx pose again. And checking in again, making sure all of the tops of the toes are pressing down into the mat. You're this feeling of almost drawing your front body forward with the palms and the forearms. So that's nice and strong here. We're finding length through the front body and through the back body. The shoulders drawing away from the ears. A lot going on. Nice and tall in our Sphinx. And then beginning to kickstand, this time the right hand and forearm in. And then beginning to bend into the back, bend into the left leg. And you can reach back and find the left foot. It might feel very different on this side. I actually have more mobility in my ability to reach back and get this leg on the left side than I do on the right, regardless of what the quad feels like. So just listen to what's happening in your body, notice, no judging, but be mindful that this stretch is in the quadricep, in the hip. We're not feeling any compression in the lower back. And when you're ready, just releasing that foot back down, bringing the hands together to find our crocodile. You can have the other cheek, if you're not on your forward, you just have a cheek down, just do the opposite cheek. Give a little wiggle. Just notice the difference in sensation now that both legs have been really elongated, and notice that different sensation of the front body on the mat. And from here, we'll just make our way back into our tabletop pose. And when you arrive here, we're going to tuck the toes under and make our way to our downward facing dog. So hovering the knees up off the mat, just getting things engaged for a moment first. And then when you're ready, straightening into the legs any amount, sending the hips up and back towards the ceiling. Arriving in downward dog. So from here, you can bend from one knee into the other, walk out your dog, just settle in. And shake the head, yes, 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 no, no, no. Open and close the jaw. And then coming to stillness. I'm going to inhale up on the tiptoes. And as you exhale out audibly through the mouth, hips sink down towards the mat. One more time. Inhale up on the tiptoes. Finding almost a cat back here. Exhale, side out. Heel sink. And bending into the knees, gaze forward. Step or hop the feet to the top of the mat between the thumbs. And as you exhale, release down into your forward fold. Generous bend in the knees here. Always that sensation of the upper body like a waterfall pouring over the lower body. Head is heavy. Option to find ragdoll arms. Interlace the fingers behind the base of the skull for a more deep opening sensation. Or have the hands come behind the calves. As always, that tail is reaching up towards the ceiling. And from here, you can begin to straighten into the legs any amount, just to feel the sensation happening in the back of the hamstrings. But don't sacrifice the length in the spine for the length in the legs. Then we'll inhale to half lift. Fingertips can come to shins, with that L shape in the upper body, really elongating through the spine. And exhale to fold. Again, inhale up to your half lift, and exhale to fold. And just bend gently into the knees. And a root to rise. So arms sweep up, inhale, palms touch overhead. Finding length through the side body. Exhale, hands through heart center, pausing here. And releasing hands down by the sides. Inhale, arms sweep up. Palms touch. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale to half lift. And exhale to fold. From here, we'll step the right foot back in space. So we're in a low lunge or Anjaneyasana lunge. And you want to keep those fingertips on the mat. And from here, we're going to straighten, begin to send the hips back, straighten into the left leg, finding our pyramid pose. And fold down over that leg. Feel that stretch through the back of the left leg. And then inhaling back up into your lunge. And exhale to fold. We'll do this 2 more times. Inhale to your low lunge. And exhale to fold. And as you're here in your pyramid, before you flow forward again, just notice you can pull that left hip crease back in space just a little bit. And coming to your lunge. 1 more time. Folding into your pyramid pose. Coming back into your lunge, bending into that back knee. Step the right foot up to meet the left. Exhale to fold. Inhale, root to rise, arms to sweep up, palms touch. Exhale, hands through heart center. And release. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. Stepping the left foot back, finding your low lunge. You might need to, just readjust where those feet are so you're on your train tracks, not your balance beam. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Can you pull that right hip back in space? Finding that scissoring action in the legs. And then as you exhale, begin to straighten into the right leg and fold into your pyramid pose. Inhale back up into your lunge. And exhale to fold. Move through 3 more rounds here, moving with your breath. Finding length in the spine through each motion. Always being aware that you're drawing that opposite hip back in space, finding that scissoring action in the legs. 1 more. And coming back to your Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Stepping the left foot to meet the right. Exhale to fold. Inhale, root to rise. Arms sweep up, palms touch. Exhale, hands, heart center, and pause here. Allowing the hands to come, release by the sides. Taking a moment here, rolling the shoulders back up and down and finding your Tadasana. Just noticing all the micro movements happening as you try to find stillness here in your mountain pose. You energetically be pressing out through the fingertips. And allowing the eyes to open. And from here, and then again, bring the hands to the hips and just step the right foot back in space. So we're going to set up for warrior 2 legs here. So you want to make sure that you've got the feet on Actually, we're closer to a balance beam here, sorry. So we're gonna have our heel arch alignment. So just notice where that back foot is. Want the heel angled out and toes angled in at about 45 degrees. And then bending into the front leg. Inhale, arms up to shoulder height. Finding our Virabhadrasana 2, our warrior 2 pose. Torsos through the center. And you bend into that left knee just a little bit more while engaging through the muscles, lifting out of the joints nice and strong. Flipping the front palm, reach back, reverse your warrior. Inhale through center, bending into the front arm, finding extended side angle. That tail is reaching down towards, or angled down towards your heel. Coming back up through center, straightening into the front leg. Sending that right hip back in space, reaching forward with the left hand, so there's nowhere left to go, and opening into your Trikonasana triangle pose. Might need a micro bend in the front knee. Opening across the chest. Using the core strength. Coming back up through center. Then have the toes be parallel, wide leg stance in the mat. And exhale, begin to hinge forward. Hovering here in the center, nice and strong through the core. In fact, you can extend the arms out long. And then exhale to find your wide leg forward fold. So here, just make this your own. You can have the head just reaching down towards the mat. If you need a little bit more stretching, you can reach the hands back behind. You can just find stillness here. You're welcome to find some skandasana from just some side lunging. Just make this your own. If you're in your skandasana lunges, just stay close to the ground. As you move side to side. And then coming back through center. Inhaling up on the fingertips. Hands come to hips. And reverse hinge back up to your wide leg stance. And then turn the right toes to face the front of the mat. Left heel angles out, toes angle in. And bending into that front leg. Inhaling the arms out, finding your warrior 2, your Virabhadrasana. Nice and strong here. Again, making sure we've got that imaginary beach ball between our thighs, squeezing in, lifting out of the joints, engaging the muscles. Can you sink a little bit lower? Flip the front palm, reach back, reverse your warrior, move back through center, bending into the front arm, finding extended side angle. Really active through the right arm, engage through the upper body, back through center, straightening into the right leg, sending the left hip back in space, reaching forward with the right fingertips so there's nowhere left to go, and then opening into your Trikonasana triangle pose. Again, micro bend in the front knee might help. Length from the crown to the tail, all the way down to the heel. And then coming back up through center. With the toes to parallel off. Hands come to hips. Hinge forward, wide leg forward bend.
Just take 3 rounds of breath here. You want to find some skandasana, you're welcome to. Head is heavy.
And inhaling up on the fingertips. So from here, we'll just walk the hands around, framing the front foot, step back, high plank, heels send back,
Downward facing dog.
glide forward, high plank, knees come down, lower, chest and chin down to the mat, and extend out long. My hands come back by the sides. Just allow the cheek to rest on the mat either side. We can bend into the knees and just find some windshield wiper legs here. Just allowing everything to slow down. And allowing the legs to extend back out long. Drawing the hands in by the chest and just press back into your tabletop. And from here, we'll just swing our legs around and come down to lay on our backs. So keeping the knees bent, feet are about hip width distance apart. You should be able to just graze the back of the heels with the fingertips. And then peeling the hips up off the mat. Just find a bridge pose for a couple of breaths. Really pressing down actively through all 4 corners of the feet, lifting the pelvis up towards the ceiling, but without clenching into the glutes. And then slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, hips come down to earth. I'm going to hug the knees into the chest here. I'm going to tuck the hands under the hips here. I'm going to find our legs up the wall without a wall. So you'll have to feel around for exactly the right spot for you. But with that, the hands helping to lift the hips up off the mat and extend into the legs. Just feel around till you feel kind of the lightness. And just enjoy this gentle inversion. There's really no work being done here. So if you find yourself straining in any way, just readjust the hands until you aren't anymore. Maybe like fists. And close the eyes. And then drawing the knees in towards the chest. And remove the hands. Allow the feet to come back towards the mat, extending the legs out long. Allowing the feet to splay open wide. Hips to just melt. Remove any tension in the spine. Eyes can drift shut. Removing the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Shavasana. welcome to stay in Shavasana for as long as you wish. Just pause here. Whenever you're ready, making your way up to a seated position, your eyes closed and hands at heart center. Allowing the chin to bow towards the self. The light in me recognizes the beautiful light of peace and love inside each and every one of you. Namaste.